We're here. It's another Tuesday afternoon, and you're hanging with the Roll for Mischief crew, or as I like to say, your favorite nerds. The name of the game is what? Let me do my thing. This is my thing that I do all the time. The name of the game is Voloheen, Winds of War. The name of the episode, which is episode 10, is Minutes to Midnight. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and pick up with the party. I'm going to make a quick little announcement that, in light of all the technical difficulties that we've been having today, we might end up calling the session a little early. And to be honest, I miss Drew a lot, and I miss Hilofax's wonderful voice and wonderful personality. And that's another thing I would really like to be able to bring Hilofax in for at least some of the stuff that's going to be going on.
Yeah, there's
So
only so long he can be a grief-ridden, drooling idiot before...
that's what I'm saying. It's like I hesitate to speak too much for Hilofax, but it is convenient that I can just say he's so grief-stricken, dude. He's
Right.
super grief-stricken. He's not saying much right now because he's so grief-stricken.
But I think at a certain point he's got to get into it and be like, nah, we got to say things and have thoughts.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't have to. People get tired of listening to Eridu talk.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say it, but since you said it, sure.
On that note, as we travel,
so
Eridu's going to talk.
where we just left off is that the party was traveling through the sewers, and they came to the end, which is a big old pipe that leads out to the river, and it's just spewing all sorts of gross sewer water into the river. And you guys have poked your head out and found that the pipe is situated so that it is under the boards of the dock, and you guys need to find some way to get out and about and find yourselves a vessel to commandeer, borrow, or otherwise just take for your own good.
All right. Might I suggest that, Ellie, you leave your large contraption here for the moment, as it will be very obvious. And Leovan, could you stay and just keep an eye on Ein? Make sure that it doesn't get up to no good.
Yes, I shall.
You mean just leave him for like while I get a boat, right? Because
Right. I mean, unless we can commandeer a boat that he can't fit on, and then that's a different discussion. That's not what I'm referring to here, though. Here is just leaving him while we go find a boat.
Okay.
So first off, you want me to do a perception check just to get a layout of the things to be aware of, or what?
Yeah.
I mean, what to do? I'm so scared.
I need direction.
Make me roll a dice.
Yo, I
This
mean,
is D&D.
it's a typical session of this whole show where it goes like an hour and 40 minutes before anyone rolls a d20.
Right.
So go ahead and roll a d20 for a perception check, I guess.
I will say, up until this point, we had been rolling like shit on all kinds of stuff. Tech issues, ability to fill out paperwork, children, not hurting themselves rolls. Those are all things. I got a 12.
Okay, so a 12 will tell you, it will confirm that you guys could safely hop out of the pipe and you wouldn't be going like directly into the water. Mm-hmm. You would be on, this very muddy, rocky shoreline that's sitting underneath the dock. And you look down the ways and it runs a pretty fair distance. So you could just walk along and kind of scope like the underside of the boats. Like you wouldn't be able to see much from that vantage point under the dock, but you would be able to see like the general size of the boats as you walk along the shoreline.
Okay. And we can kind of walk along that seemingly like it wouldn't look weird.
What?
It wouldn't look too weird with us walking along the shoreline. It wouldn't seem too
It wouldn't
suspicious.
it wouldn't seem too suspicious because you are under the dock.
Oh, okay.
You are completely under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
cool.
yeah.
All right.
It's kind of like how they. This is such a local like specific reference, but in Mount Vernon before they remodeled that thing, they had the revetment, and then you could just like go under the revetment and then be right next to the river, but then you're just like
Way
under
to make
all of this stuff.
A reference to something that only I'm gonna catch.
I mean, I needed to explain it to you apparently, and that's like a
It's true.
direct
I missed
reference
the
that'll
end of the
make
doc
sense
somehow,
to you.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I'm pretty aloof sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, we're under the dock taking a look at these boats.
For sure.
What? Oh, okay. I'm gonna pose this question to Ellie. Well, if you would like to bring your contraption, what boat looks like it would do the trick to carry its weight?
What sort of boats are there? What are the options?
So I will assume that you guys are walking a bit up the shoreline to try and scope what's going on, and Ellie is going to have a bit of trouble because it is very dark. But you have goggles, right? Is that what's up?
I do.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Boop.
Yeah.
So Ellie puts the goggles on, and I'll let Ellie make a perception check.
Cool. Don't think that's going to be very good. 12.
12. Okay. The same roll that Eridu got.
Yeah.
I'll say that because you guys walked up far enough, you are starting to see several boats being docked. There are a couple, like I'll say that you see like 5 of them, and you're just seeing like the undersides of the boat. There are a couple of them that look like really small, like little like fishing dinghies. Excuse me. Like little fishing dinghies almost. There is one that is like big, like too big for just like a handful of people like you to even crew. And then there's 2 of them that are more in this kind of like Goldilocks size, where they look like fishing boats, but larger fishing boats,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So some are too small, some are too big, and some are just right.
Some are just right, exactly. Just right.
So are they already docked, or can we see people getting off of them?
Well, I will also say with your perception check, as you are walking below the docks, you are hearing occasional footsteps above you.
Okay.
But it's hard to say exactly where the footsteps are going, and from your vantage point, you can't really see the top deck of any of these ships.
Mm-hmm. I'll point to the couple that I think would be just right. And say those 2 would probably do.
All right. And so we'll kind of make our way a bit closer to those 2. And do you know how to sail in either of these boats?
I mean, I could give it a try. It can't be much different from piloting mine, right?
You also were on the Tranquility.
Yeah.
You have experience with sailing. Just a reminder.
I didn't forget that bit. I remember that she has commandeered a boat. Well, kind of got onto a boat before. But I forgot
The last time she was on a boat, one of her friends died? No.
Well, yeah, true.
She's been on boats since then.
Yeah. Yes, I have loads of experience. Well, I don't. She probably wouldn't have sailed with boats. I could give it a good go, I think.
All right. And can we trust this Leovan character? I know you say you've had a pass with him before, but I'm having my doubts.
He helped me, and in fact, Agner once, back a few months ago, however long ago it was. And then he helped me again, with my friend Zala, to get onto a boat to rescue my mentor, and he essentially helped keep me alive when we got trapped in a room for a while. I don't know him well. He's very mysterious, and he doesn't really say much about himself or his plans, but he's never tried to hurt me. If he wanted to do any harm, he definitely could have done, and in that time we were trapped in a room together, so I guess it's hard to know who you can trust, but that's all we've got at the minute, right?
Yes, it seems that it is becoming harder and harder to really get to know who you can trust. And he's not really elaborated on what sort of stupid thing Agner might be doing. I mean, out of character, we haven't asked, but
Well, tried.
Well, you tried, and he did tell you that he would tell you.
right on our way, which he hasn't done. We haven't asked since we left.
Mhm.
But
Maybe we just need to press him a bit more and get some more information. I mean, does it sound like something Agner would? I mean, not that I wouldn't know if that sounds like something Agner would do. Does it sound like something he would do? Go to the dwarves? Why would he have reason to do that?
No, Leovan did tell us that he was on the Dwarven side, or did he just say he was north?
Well, he said he was north, and he did specify deep within Dwarven territory.
Okay. I believe Agner being in Dwarven territory in and of itself is very stupid. If anyone were to recognize him there, he would be putting his own life at risk. He doesn't have a good history with dwarves.
No, I know. I mean, no. Why do you think he would go there?
I haven't the slightest idea. He had mentioned that he just had something he needed to do, and
You could mention that it was a pilgrimage.
right. I was getting there.
Oh,
and I feel like it had something to do with his connection to his new goddess. Since he's lost his sight, he's struggling to really find himself. And I believe he's put his faith in something, and I keep hoping that it's the right thing for him. But I feel like he is moving away from the man he used to be.
Out of character quickly. What's the deity's name again?
Anesti.
No.
No,
No.
Anesti was...
No. Thealis.
what was it?
That was Thealis.
Right.
So, so I got this. So, so there was like a whole thing, like I mentioned to Theala specifically at one time. Like, so Theala, because Theala's a drow, Theala's very familiar with this deity that the drow worship called Joro, Weaver of Shadows, I think. So when Agner was describing his goddess to everyone, Theala was just like, oh yeah, he's talking about Joro. That like totally sounds like Joro. That's like everything that Joro is. But then Agner was like, and her name is Yarana.
Oh,
That's
right.
the deity's name. The goddess's name is Yarana. And then Theala was like, okay, that's weird. different name.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, so whichever one that Eridu would mention is, he would probably mention Yorana because he's close enough with Agner and has had enough conversations with Agner where that's the name that would stick in his head.
Yeah,
Well,
you're on.
I was wondering if, like, Ellie would probably, like, refer to it by that name, because then it would be a bit like, okay, she knows a lot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like that might be a little too much insider info
Okay.
for Ellie to be able to mention.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Uh,
say Girana, but Theala had her. It wasn't the name that Theala used.
okay. What
I
was
can't.
the
Oh, I
name
can't
that...
recall. I guess I just didn't give it enough importance at the time.
Do we know anything about it? Is it like a good god, or like is him following after this going to be a good thing, or is he being led down a false path? Uh,
The the conversations we've ever had about the times he's gone on a journey with, being led by his god, it's always, goddess, it's always seemed that he's being drawn along a path, a very tight path. Um, I mean, I don't know that he's ever described it this way, but it would sound as though he's walking along a spider's web. At least that's the impression I got. Maybe it's the times I've seen him in a half spider, half human form, and it just has spider on the brain when I think of Agner, but yeah, that's the impression I have.
well, in terms of being in dwarven territory, I mean, I am somewhat familiar with the dwarves. I maybe could help. I don't know if I specifically know anyone there, but it might help. And if this is our lead, I guess we just follow Levin and hope that he means well.
Do you have connections with people in the Dwarven Empire? Could you make contact and possibly find out if anyone has seen a blind man wandering through the territories?
I could try. I don't think so falling out of character now. The dwarves. I don't know if you guys know because Ruth set this up. The dwarves to where my brother is. They're not in the same place as we're going now, are they? Totally different place.
No. No.
Okay. But do you think is that the kind of thing like would they have potential connections with other areas of dwarven territory or not?
Maybe field that to Asa. He's been fleshing out a lot of like how the dwarves like interact with each other, dwarven kingdom stuff.
I mean, there probably is a lot more. To use the right word. Efficient communication between the different settlements in the Dwarven territory, but with us being on the move in a secretive way, realistically, the chances of you getting word out and it getting back to us before we get to where we're going is probably pretty low.
Yeah. Okay.
Ellie probably has the knowledge to kind of put that together and just be like, be aware that travel time plus trying to reach into her contacts might end up being a situation where, and the dwarves, one thing they don't have is the magical means of communication as predominantly as the free kingdoms do.
Halifax will chime in at this point and he will say, "Look,
oh yeah,
look, look. I have my own reservations about this mysterious Leovan chap, but from what I've seen so far, he has a good heart, and also from what I can assess, he is one powerful spellcaster. It is possible that he may have some resources at his disposal that we do not yet know about."
So Kyle has made it canon. Halifax trusts Leovan. That's something that Drew will not be able to undo.
Hey, I tried to go I tried to go middle ground as possible. Like he said, he's got his own reservations about him, but also
I
recognizes that
know.
the dude can do some serious magic that could be helpful.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, of course you are. You always are, Asa. Don't pick on me.
Oh, Asa,
Aw,
you're always giving me such a hard
you're
time.
so mean to me.
I know, it's
Yeah.
like we've known each other for years.
Uh,
Kyle and
um,
I just met, at the beginning of this stream, so
Yeah,
it's
pretty
been like
much.
6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, like a year and a half.
So Halifax continues talking, and he says, "Well, now, how about that vessel?"
do I still have the disguise hat thing? Would that, because I mean Zello gave me it, didn't he, at the end of
Yeah.
the other one?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
Just whether I still
And he
have
died
it.
before he took it back, so
Yeah.
I would say, for all intents and purposes, you still have a hat of disguise.
You still have a hat
Okay,
of disguise. We're saying that right now.
Then I take it out of my bag and pull it onto my head and turn myself into I turn myself into the dwarf I was into the last time I had it.
So, in my head canon, it looks like the sorting hat, but then you have to, pull it over your face, and then it changes appearance, because it's, covering your face now.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I can dig that. Yeah, I mean, you could turn yourself into that dwarf, or you could, I don't know, make yourself look like a dock worker. That. You
Yeah,
know.
so I'm gonna I turn myself into the dwarf just to kind of like making a point, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And
I thought you were gonna
I
try and
say,
use it in a different way.
well, I will.
Okay, yeah.
Like to those guys.
For sure.
So yeah, I'll turn it to the dwarf and say, well, I have this that might help both get in the ship and in the dwarven territory. So, like,
Eridu will look promptly surprised. Uh, yes, I think that might come in very handy.
pull it off again and turn back into myself. So, how do we get on one of these boats then?
Well, I could sneak on and beat up all of the crew, and then. But that sounds like a lot of work, and possibly dangerous. So maybe those of us with abilities to, disguise ourselves as someone else might be able to get on, take control of the boat, sail it over to where the rest of us are at, and we'll all jump on there. Halifax, you have some kind of spells, don't you?
Yes, indeed I
That do
do.
a thing.
Indeed I do have access
Mm.
to Arcana.
As a wizard, I do have
I
spells.
do have spells. He's very insistent about the fact that he has spells, and I'm actually looking at them right now.
I thought, and I could be wrong, that Theala did have disguise self, and I thought it was one of the spells she made sure that he had, but I could be way off.
He does not have that, but he has plenty. Oh well, he does have alter self, which is even better.
Perfect.
Yeah, so he's got that for sure.
Cool. Cool. Well then, while they take different forms and use those forms to commandeer one of the boats, I will rush on back to where we were staying at, since I've got the speedies to make that happen, and then wait for them to come pick us up there.
Very well. So Ellie and Halifax are going to find some way up. You have to go down the shoreline just like a little bit more to find a way to there's one of those platforms where it really reaches down to the lower level, and then there's a set of stairs that leads up to the top level of the docks. So you can have splish splash a little bit into the water line, get on top of this lower platform, and then get right back up to the top of the docks. And you've taken unassuming forms of just very common looking people that would be maybe hanging out on the docks, maybe working on the docks, maybe you just look like a couple of village drunks that are, just taking a nice little night walk. The point is, very inconspicuous. And as you walk along to where the two Goldilocks ships were, you kind of have to make a choice. They look very similar as far as like size, style, construction. It's got like just pretty much like one big sail on the main mast, one big billowing sail, and then it almost looks like a long ship, like the way that it's just long and skinny, and it's got like an open deck. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
simple boat. It's not like a multi-level crazy thing or whatever. But yeah, so there's two of them like side by side.
Okay. And they're exactly the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Are there like more people around one than another, or
Make a perception check.
21?
Oh, that's good. That's good. You look at the left boat and you do not see any activity on the boat itself or anyone on the dock that's leading down there. And then as you look to the right boat, you at first make that assessment of like, oh yeah, there's no one over there either. But then your very sharp eyes catch a little bit like there's some stuff on the deck of the other boat on the right that looks like it was a bunch of cargo, but you catch a little bit of movement and you see that there are bodies of people that seem to be sleeping on the deck, and they're covered in blankets. Like it just looked like a bunch of random cargo that's just kind of piled on there, but then you catch the movement to know that there's like people there.
All right, let's hit the other one then.
All right,
Yeah, the empty one.
very good. You go off to the left boat. Do you guys want to make any like stealth checks? Are you like very stealthily creeping on the boat, or are you just kind of barging on in there?
I mean, my stealth's not very good. Yeah, all right, I'll try and stealth one.
All right. Make him stealth checks. Making them stealth checks. Halifax rolled pretty well.
Yeah, that'd be a 1. That'd be a crit fail. Knew I shouldn't have snuck on.
Asa,
What's up, dog?
are you gonna make a stealth check? Oh wait, no, you're not even in there. I forgot.
Exactly.
Sorry.
That's why I was
Sorry.
saying a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I know. It makes sense now. So Halifax rolled okay, but then Ellie, as she is getting on there, you guys are going across the gangplank that is stretched from the dock to the ship, and Ellie stumbles pretty bad on the end of the gangplank, and she falls forward and catches herself like she's on the deck and everything. But what she's done with her foot as she is falling forward is that she kicked the gangplank away, and it clatters off of the side of the ship and then just scoosh falls in the water and makes a big old splash.
Just look up at Halifax like, oop,
Ellie, that was not stealthy in any way whatsoever.
nope, sorry.
I suppose we shall be going then.
Yeah, let's go quick.
As you take a scan over to the other boat, it doesn't seem like there is any flurry of activity quite yet. If you act quickly, you might just be able to get out of there.
Yeah, I move quickly to the boat controls.
All right.
She says with absolute conviction that she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, you pull the anchor up quickly and everything, and the boat kind of starts sliding over. You unfurl the sails. The light breeze is starting to pull it away from the dock, and kind of lazily heading over in the direction of where Eridu and company await.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, dear.
So as the boat gets closer, how are Eridu and Leovan and everyone trying to
It's Eridu, Leovan, and a giant bear creature.
giant bear creature? So how are they going to
And
deal with this?
we are dealing with a situation in which the water levels are it's not too shallow, right? Because we are up on a pipe that's flowing out into the water. And we were able to jump down to the shore and walk onto the docks, right?
Yeah.
But so they could pull up to us kind of easily, but we'll probably have to jump on as they kind of stroll by, so that it doesn't look weird for them to pull up and stop where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, like, essentially you guys just need to get on top of the deck. Like, it's going to be hard to do it from under the deck where you are, dock. You need to get on top of the dock.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, it's gonna be really tough to not be seen. Anybody got a giant invisibility cloak we can just throw over Ein? I say that, but instead, I think what I'm gonna do is just pull out a blanket and like fling it over him, kind of drape him so he looks like a large thing, kind of cloaked, rather than a large mechanical thing, the bear thing.
As the blanket goes over him, it makes a mechanical sound that's like.
No, you just need to be quiet. Be quiet. And then looking both ways, I'm gonna wait for the boat to kind of like. I think my plan is we'll just wait for the boat to swoop by where we're at the dock. We'll like jump onto the dock really fast and then jump onto the boat.
Okay. All right.
That's my plan.
Okay. All right. So.
And I have total faith in two of us being able to do it.
So Leovan just takes stock of the situation and then looks at you and then looks at
becomes a bird.
Looks at Ein. No, it's not gonna. He's not gonna become a bird, and he's just going to say, "Let me help in a small way, if I can." And he walks over. So like essentially, there's the shoreline, and then there's like this big rock that kind of like juts up, and it's like there's a gap between where the dock is and where this big rock is on the shoreline. And he waves his hands, and he uses his ability to mold earth, and he creates a small series of crude steps along the side of the rock. And he starts to take his frail body and climb up the crude steps, and he is now on top of the dock.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're on top of the dock now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Are we being noticed?
That's
That's what I'm worried about.
a good question. How about you make a perception check, and I'll have
Okay.
Leovan make a perception check.
Well, that perception check is like 9 million. That is a 26.
Dude, that is pretty dang good.
I rolled a 19 and I have +7. So.
All right. So as you are on top of the dock, Ein is creaking and making just all sorts of noise, like honestly. And you look off in the distance and you see a hazy torchlight that is getting closer and closer. And you notice the torchlight. It was kind of like going. It was like just it was heading toward you, looking very steady. But then as you look at it longer, the torchlight starts to waver a little bit, back and
I
forth.
absolutely forgot that it was nighttime, sorry.
Oh. Okay. Well, now you know it's nighttime.
It would have made the whole stealth mission a lot simpler if I had remembered.
Yeah, for sure.
So is the torchlight coming closer to the... Or is it stopped and it's wavering?
No, it's wavering and it's coming closer. as if to
Okay,
suggest
how?
that the hand that is carrying the torch is doing a little something like this.
Okay, how far? When it gets to 60 feet away from, I guess, where I am, which I was wondering if I can get to like the edge of the boat because there's a couple of things
You want to do
that
a
I want
couple
to
of
do to try and
things?
help.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So if I can, like, if I can see the torchlight as we pull up,
Yeah.
and when it's within 60 feet,
Okay.
I'd like to cast a spell on it.
Okay.
Is that doable?
Yeah, yeah, that's doable. I'll say that as Eridu and the others are making their way to try and make the jump off of the dock onto the boat, then you're getting close enough, and the torch is getting close enough, and you can do whatever you're trying to do.
Okay. I'd like to cast pyrotechnics on it.
Oh dear.
Um, so thick black smoke spreads out from it. It puts out the flame, and then yeah, thick black smoke for a 20-foot radius around it.
Whoa.
Area is heavily obscured. Persists for a minute until a strong wind.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh. Okay. And then what?
can I, if I reach like as far as I can down? Oh no, I don't need to reach, do I? I will also then cast reduce. I cast reduce
Ah.
on Ein so that he can be like picked up and cut on easier. So he's like a small creature.
That is like
Um,
that's the easiest solution to like iron is so
I was-
huge. Like what do we do? You know, that's the
I was
easiest
thinking about that. I
solution.
was like, does anybody have a reduce spell? But I didn't want to say anything because,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
that's not Eridu's line of thinking.
All right. So
We've established Eridu doesn't know crap about spells, and so I try not to give spell advice with him.
for sure. So
We
as
actually had a long conversation about that the other day. I'm going to keep interrupting you right as you go to talk.
that's okay. No, it's not okay. Stop doing it. And Eridu might, once he sees Ein shrink to the tiny bit, he might just scoop him up and retrieve his blanket that is now kind of useless, or whatever. And Leovan just chuckles as he sees the enormous thing get reduced to tiny little size, however big it is now. And then, oh yeah, the torch, the pyrotechnics. There is like a sizzle and a flash, and then the smoke just erupts and just covers the entire area in darkness. And you hear a pained yelp and coughing and just like a wretched sound of a couple of people really having a bad time because their entire area just got filled with thick black smoke. And I would make you guys do athletics rolls, but I think it would just be cooler to say, blah! Everyone jumps off of the dock, does a barrel roll. Ein just like doesn't really do a barrel roll, and he just
It flaps its arms.
he flaps his
I mean,
arms,
it's
and then he
part owl, it's part
smashes.
bear. It thinks it can make it.
Yeah, and then he smashes on the deck with a huge sound, and then Leovan, who gracefully landed for being such an old elf, he's really got some grace to him, and he immediately starts to whip his hand around, his right hand, in this kind of way, where it just looks like he's trying to churn up the air, just churn it, and direct it, and then he kind of does this, and then he takes this huge gust of wind. He seems to be able to control the wind in the way that he wants it to go, and he uses that to blast the sail with wind, and it just, the vessel starts to haul ass upstream, and you guys start to go and go and go and go. And I haven't showed this map in a long time, but I'll show the Twin Harbor map right here. So, like I said, you guys are on either the eastern or the western docks. I really haven't decided which one it is. I get mixed up on what side everything is on.
It's probably Western. West is Dwarven Kingdoms, East is Free Kingdoms.
Okay. So
Subversion of expectation.
yeah, so probably on the west. So you guys started on the western docks, and you are just boom hauling north, and going past the whole like couple of islands that are in the center. You go past the heavily fortified area that is where the ISCB warehouse was, and you guys keep heading north upstream until you're essentially off of the map. You're going so far upstream that you're in an area that is not included on that Twin Harbor map. And
Gotcha.
yeah, and along the way, Laven, he's just churned up the air so much, and he is just focusing and concentrating on the wind to keep pushing itself into the sails and to make your journey even more expeditious. And
Okay.
but while he's concentrating on that, he's able to sit down and be able to have a little conversation with you guys. And he tells you a couple of things. He tells you, I told you earlier that I would elucidate about Egner, his predicament, his situation. I must say that I don't know exactly what Egner is going to do. I only know that his presence in the area that he is heading toward is very dangerous. He is going to Iron Fist hold. A long time ago, I set up some protective magics that would alert me if anyone stepped past its perimeter. Those alarms were set off, and I saw that it was your friend Egner who set off the alarms. That is what prompted me to find his friends, to go collect him. Because where he is going is a place that I've sealed away. I am afraid that he will break this seal.
Does Eridu recognize the name Iron Fist Hold?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Is it in relation with things we've talked about off camera?
Yeah, it is.
All right. So Eridu, upon listening to this and upon hearing the whole mentioning of Iron Fist Hold, is just gone completely stoic. And he takes a deep breath and lets it out. He looks at Laven and he says, I feel now is the time in which I should give you a good portion of my trust and apologize for my misgivings before. To be someone who has taken it upon themselves to defend that place is very admirable.
It is the least I could do to help restore balance to a broken thing.
I'll look at Halifax and Ellie and say, it is imperative that whatever is happening is drawing Eridu to Iron Fist Hold.
Egner.
It is imperative that we find him, and we retrieve him before he can make any rash decisions.
What's there and what happens when the seal is broken?
Iron Fist Hold used to be controlled by dwarves. It was built by dwarves. It was a dwarven military complex back when dwarves were much more of a force to be reckoned with. That it was assaulted one day by a host of drow. Assaulted in a manner so swift, so brutal, that the dwarves were not in a good position to put up any kind of fight. The drow took over the entire complex, and it was only after a bloody siege that lasted for weeks. It was only after that bloody siege that the dwarves were able to take back Iron Fist Hold. I was there all those hundreds of years ago. I was there. I helped their druids, the dwarven ones, that is. I helped them to craft a seal that would keep the drow invaders locked away. I do not know if Agner knows anything about this seal. I only know that he's been drawn there for some reason. And there is a danger, there is a possibility that he could somehow tamper with the ancient magics that I set into place. And since there is that possibility, we must go stop him from entering the complex.
I was good.
No, it's okay.
I was also there. Though I did not see you, Laven, because I left quite shortly after the drow invaded. It was my actions in that moment that gave the dwarves the slightest chance of retaliation. And it was the last time I saw my father alive.
I see. I believe I know which one your father was. Strange as it is,
He was a zealot and a revolutionary. And he was as cruel as they come. To those who did not fall upon what he believed was the true way. We have to get there as soon as we can.
yes.
Laven, how far back are your senses that got tripped? Like, how long do we have now that he's already tripped them? Does that mean he's already in there doing it, or do we?
I set up a very wide perimeter. But determined as he is, I can't say how far he's gotten. The fact that he got into that region as quickly as he did anyway, it baffles me. This Agner is relentless. I must also warn you. And then when he does that, he crooks an ancient withered finger to the front of the ship, and you guys see that in the murky waters in front of you, there is fast approaching a landmass. It's darker than the surrounding area. You're slowly starting to make out what look like huge trees. It's an island in the center of the river. And he says, "This island we are going to, it is also a home to the Undercircle, a much more ancient home than that under the city. This is also a place where the Feywild is very near. There are capricious, and some might say aggressive, fey creatures that live in the woods. I will do the best I can to make our passage safe, but you must know that few people tread here. Few people not of my order tread here. I'll have Eridu do like a history check. And for that matter, Halifax will do one too.
Well, Eridu's is not so great. It's an 8 in total.
Okay. Halifax rolled up 20, so he's got you on this.
Good.
And it's just like a little bit of local knowledge, essentially. And
Yeah.
Halifax says, "Oh, yes. This island. It is said that many people have gone missing here. Any ship foolish enough to stop here to try and make repairs or even take a rest stop on the journey to Twin Harbor, all of those fools have never made it out."
And we seem destined to join them. And then I'll look at Leovan and say, unless we have your protection.
Protection I cannot quite offer. I do not command these Fae. The Fae, by their very nature, are beyond command. They are wild creatures, masters of their own destiny. But I can do what I can to appease them.
Very well.
I thought I should only warn you. It's only fair to warn you.
We appreciate the warning. We will tread with care, and hopefully we don't anger any Fey beings.
Alright, so at that, the ship has gotten close enough to, it essentially just like, the prow just like runs into the landmass, and you see that everything just kind of parts a little bit, and the ship just slowly slides to a halt. You let down the anchor, and you guys get off the ship, and your feet just sink into the ground. Not so much that you can't get out, it's not like quicksand or anything, but you guys realize you are in a stinky, swampy, very smelly bog. It is not the most pleasant environment to be walking in on, especially since you gotta go like squelch to even get anywhere. In front of you, there are massive, thick, old-growth trees that have, multiple layers of canopy intertwining in each other. And as you look into the tree line, all you see is darkness. The foliage is so thick that there's just complete darkness in there. And as you stand on the banks of the island, your feet sinking into the stinky mud, I think we're going to call the session a little bit early, and hope that Drew, as Halifax, is able to join the party next week, and we'll see what kind of hostile fey creatures the party might run into or not. And of course, they're going to try and save stupid Agner from himself.
Stupid Agner.
Stupid Agner.
All right,
Zarkon
cool.
was right the whole time. Zarkon was the original one that was like, Agner's stupid.
Zarkon thought Agner was stupid before it was cool.
Before it was cool. Exactly. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been Roll for Mischief, and join us again next Tuesday, and we will continue episode 10 called Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah, we'll be, less tech issues, less stressed out, less not present in Drew's case.
Everything will be great. Everything will be perfect.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say everything will be lesser, but in all the good ways.
Yeah, everything's great. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Have
joining
a good
us.
afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is.
Oh, yeah. See ya.
Bye.